Marc Ganis, president of consulting firm SportsCorp, who's also nicknamed the NFL's 33rd owner because of his close relationships around the league. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Marc, it's a great time to be an NFL owner. The average team, according to our numbers at Forbes, is worth $7.1 billion. How would you describe the current state of valuations and where we're going in the sport?
Well, we've had a pretty meteoric rise in the last 5 or 6 years in NFL valuations. It wasn't that long ago that the Buffalo Bills were sold for $1.4 billion, and they sold minority interests over $5 billion just about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And so it really has been a very significant rise, and we haven't seen the end of it. As a matter of fact, I believe that we're in the 9 to 10 billion range now for the better teams.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see 15 to 20 billion valuations in the next 5 to 7 years.
How does that compare with other leagues? Obviously, the NBA is, one who is, the Lakers sold for $10 billion. Mm-hmm. There are exorbitant valuations, huge media rights package, not quite like the NFL, but I'm curious how the other leagues stack up.
Well, let's work backwards.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball has been the weak link in the major sports leagues in the U.S. The NHL has done a much better job of increasing its valuations than Major League Baseball has on a percentage basis.
Yeah.
You have the exceptions, the Dodgers, the Yankees, but it's the rare exception. Then the NHL has done a pretty good job. The NBA has done an exceptional job in increasing valuations. They really have shown the other leagues how to change your rules in order to be able to bring in different forms of capital to increase valuations, how to monetize broadcasting rights and internet and internationally to increase valuations and to bring in money from international sources as well as institutional sources. The NFL has always been the league that waits and watches and then decides what is best for it and creates its own rules. So the NFL took 4, 5, 6 years before it allowed private equity to come in as investors and set its own rules for that investment. The NFL is very restrictive, far more restrictive than the other leagues in terms of ownership rules and and the type of ownership it will allow. Debt and debt structures, holding company structures, things like that the NFL does not permit.
Yeah.
And it has done so for very good reasons. The NFL does not look at itself as year to year, quarter to quarter, even 3 or 5 year horizons. The NFL looks at itself as a business that is generational. So when it looks at what it's going to do as a business model, when it looks at what it's going to do on ownership rules, when it looks at what it's going to do on debt, it looks at it from generation to generation, not from year to year or quarter to quarter. And that has created a separation between the NFL and the other leagues that just continues to grow.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, and it's definitely something we've seen on our own. Obviously, the buzz here with the Patriots and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl is that the Seahawks are going to hit the market next. ESPN had reported that they were going to be put up for sale after the Super Bowl. What's your expectation for that, and what are you kind of seeing with that?
Well, the Seahawks will get sold.
Yeah.
That is what Paul Allen included in his determinations for after he passes.
Yeah.
The question is when. Will it be after the Super Bowl this year, or sometime shortly thereafter? Meaning, could it wait till after the next season? We've had 2 recent team sales, the Commanders and the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
And in both of those cases, the preparation for sale was achieved in the fall during the season, and it was announced immediately after the season, basically in January. We're already in mid-February.
Yeah.
So so they hit the ground running, and then they received approval of new ownership in a special meeting in August so that the new owners could take over for the entire season.
Yeah.
So we have to see where this fits in the calendar and how much the NFL pushes for it to be done for this coming season, whether the trust, the estate, can be in a position to actually meet its legal obligations in that limited time period.
Yeah.
And then you also have the other question, which is the team operating poorly? And I think the answer is obvious. It's not.
Yeah.
So this isn't a distressed situation for the Seahawks. And the league does take that into account.
Yeah. Do you have an expectation for price? I mean, I know you deal in this world probably more than anyone else.
So the number that Forbes has, a little over $7 billion.
6.7 billion.
6.7
14th in the league.
That's roughly the right number for what it is worth or was worth at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But when you want to buy one of these assets, you have to look at beyond what it's worth right now.
Yeah.
You have to look at what it's going to be worth going forward.
Yeah.
You basically have to prepay for a significant portion of what its near-term and long-term appreciated value will be. So the number is accurate for what it's worth today.
Yeah.
Within a few $100 million. But on a sale, it should go for higher than that because you have to take into account the future appreciated value. And a second point is you have to look at scarcity. How many teams are going to be sold anytime in the near future? There aren't any other NFL teams that look like they're going to be sold anytime in the near future.
Yeah.
So there's a scarcity value as well. So for parties that really want to become owners in the NFL and are willing to understand that the NFL is moving to the 15 billion plus in the next, say, 7 years, do they have the capital under the current rules to be able to pay significantly more than what it's worth today? And what kind of competition will show up? Will it be more than one prospective buyer that will show up that has that same mindset and the same capabilities? And that's what will that's what will determine whether this will be what it's worth today or 8 or 9 or potentially $10 billion.
Well, let me ask you, let's turn back the clock a little bit, because obviously we don't get to this point without Paul Allen buying the team and kind of overseeing them for decades. How would you evaluate Paul Allen as an NFL owner? What was he successful doing? Obviously, he passed away in 2018 and his sister took over. And how has Jody Allen carried that torch?
Well, the first and most important thing Paul Allen did was he was able to keep the team in Seattle.
Yeah.
Ken Behring had already announced that he was going to move the team to LA. The NFL didn't like that. So it was kind of a shotgun wedding. And Ken Behring sold the team to Paul Allen. So first, the team stayed in Seattle. Second, he was able to get a new stadium built in Seattle, which has been a great home field advantage for the team.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, you have to give him two enormous positives as an owner of the Seattle Seahawks. Then you look at how the team has done over his tenure, even before Jody took over.
Yeah.
Team had been in the Super Bowl twice, had the Legion of Doom defense. You had consistency with Pete Carroll as a head coach. You were able to draft people like Russell Wilson and keep them as great quarterbacks. And the team had an identity, and it had a rabid fan base. All of those are strong strengths for Paul Allen.
Yeah.
Now, I've been to all the NFL owners' meetings. Paul Allen did not come to many of them. But when he came and when he spoke, it was like the old E.F. Hutton commercial.
Yeah.
When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. He was absolutely critical in one of the most important recent NFL ownership decisions, which was how is the LA market going to get fulfilled?
Yeah.
He was the person who stood up in a very private, very important owners meeting and said, of the two options, let's decide which is the one that has the best opportunity for success for the NFL coming to LA, and then let's then also take care of the one or two teams that have substandard local conditions. That carried the day. It was an enormously important statement to make before the vote, and that was very vitally important. He also was there at the 2011 labor approval.
Yeah.
Roger specifically wanted all the owners there, and he was vitally important there as well. So he wasn't an active owner like a Bob Kraft, a Jerry Jones, over the years. But when he was there, he carried and spoke. He carried great influence, and his team was always managed very well.
Yeah.
Now, Jody, people underestimate Jody's ownership of the team. If you think about what this team has done under Jody Allen's stewardship, they moved Russell Wilson, and turns out at the right time.
Yeah.
They changed a legendary head coach from Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Again, turns out at the right time. She made some major decisions, very tough decisions, and they turned out to be the right decisions.
Yeah. Conversely, I know we could probably spend 2 hours talking about Robert Kraft and his influence, but he's done a lot for the league. He's, been to the Super Bowl more than any other owner. Curious, how would you describe his kind of impact and ownership? I guess, in short, just because he's done so much stuff.
There has not been a more influential owner in the meteoric rise of the NFL over the last 25 years than Robert K. Kraft. He has been involved in every major decision. He has been the spearhead for all of the broadcasting activities. He has been right there as Roger Goodell's side-by-side partner at the meetings at Sun Valley, with the streaming companies, with Bob Iger and Jimmy Pitaro recently to cut that deal. It is hard to imagine the NFL being in the position that it is in today without Robert Kraft as an absolute massive contributor to the National Football League.
Yeah. We talked a lot about why the NFL is so poised to grow over the next few years, decades. What challenges are they facing? What are the obstacles to kind of achieving this rapid growth?
Going into the future?
Yeah.
A number of them. First, there's always legislative risk.
Yeah.
We live in a very strange time in our government right now, and there are you look at what's going on in college sports, college football in particular. Who could possibly have imagined that college sports would be self-immolating the way it is today, with basically a wild west of no rules, and money being thrown around, and then not even actually locking players in.
Yeah.
It is a very bad situation in college sports that needs to get fixed, but to fix it requires legislation.
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine how, with Congress being as split as it is, even though it's the right thing to do, how that's going to come together. So you always have to understand there are legislative risks. Now, as I say that, think about that the NFL and Disney were able to get approval for the ESPN deal as quietly and quickly as they did. So it's still possible to get things done that make sense. But you have to do it the right way. So that's one. Number two, you need to look at what is going on globally with direct-to-consumer and how well that's going to wind up being accepted on a global basis. The NFL is at its best when people want to watch it on television.
Yeah.
The highest profit margins, if you will, are not games being played overseas. Those are actually to help create more interest in the league. It is putting the games on so people want to watch them.
Yeah.
And the way that's going to be done overseas is not the way it's done domestically. Domestically, it's companies buying the rights and paying the league. Internationally, that's going to be more direct to consumer. So we have to see how well that the marketplace accepts that.
Yeah.
Okay? And where.
Yeah.
Then you've got other factors, some that have actually diminished, but player health and safety. It's been a really huge accomplishment for the league to deal with things like concussion and head injury, spine injuries, as effectively as they have. They need to continue that because they do want to get to 18 games. And the only way they're going to get there is if the player health and safety data demonstrates that it's acceptable for the players to do, because the money will be very significant and the primary beneficiaries of that money will be the players, and the primary beneficiaries of the 18th game will be the fans.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I ask every year, will you give me a prediction on the Super Bowl on Sunday?
Wow. Yes. I will. I believe that let me tell you how I think the game will come down. The Seahawks have got an awesome defense. Their offense is good, but Darnold, we have to see if he's going to step up. the Patriots are almost a team of destiny. So in many ways, I would say that the Seahawks are the better team, but there's something magical about the Patriots this year. And I don't like going against teams that are demonstrating a magic. So if I had to bet, and I don't bet, I've never had an account to bet, and I don't think I ever will, I would go with the Patriots because of an aura that is around them. But the Seahawks are just an amazing team on the field, and their defense is unbelievable.
Marc Ganis, thanks for being here with us.
My pleasure.